Okay, we're continuing chapter 4. Jamie had dropped her kids off on her way to work. So says she was there when the ice cream came out. Yet the story told was she not only that was there, but that she also came into the house and put out a bowl of nuts. Cindy and Jamie say this did not happen. Ronnie was there also and said he was caught off guard with how the argument escalated. The story Shanann's mother has told is not exactly the way Cindy and Jamie tell it. The oldest granddaughter, who was 11 years old, went into the kitchen and got ice cream from the freezer, which Cindy says was only one of the small vanilla cups. They had to be careful about ice cream because of the factory it was made in. 2-year-old Celeste was allergic to tree nuts, which are almonds, pistachios, pecans, walnuts, etc. It was not a peanut allergy. Peanuts grow in the ground, so that is not one of the nuts she was allergic to. Christopher said the allergic reactions Celeste had from tree nuts were rashes and breathing problems. Also, each reaction can get worse. With her already having breathing problems, I'm sure Shanann was afraid of her having a bad reaction where she could have problems breathing. Any mother would be careful about any allergy her child has. The granddaughter went to the freezer and took out an ice cream cup. She sat next to Celeste, was eating ice cream, and was not made to move while eating it. The tree nut allergy was something newer, and Christopher said he doesn't think Cindy really believes she had an allergy to nuts. They jump around in this book. It doesn't make sense. It's not me, y'all, it's them. It's her. Cindy says she did not know her granddaughter had gotten the ice cream out. This made Shanann angry, and she did not hide her feelings. Christopher's nephew, who was 10, told Bella that they would probably not ever get to see them again. That was a prophetic word, as that was the last time any of them saw Bella, Celeste, or Shanann. Things had been so bad for so long between the Watts and Shanann that Cindy asked her to leave until she could calm down. I believe that's a lie. She called her dad and told her she wanted to leave. Cindy then took her daughter's children and left the house until everything had a chance to deflate. Something Shanann had only just realized and was willing to fix was the breach between her and her in-laws. She could see how seriously Christopher was taking it. She sensed a difference in the way Christopher was treating her for the first time since she knew him. She shared with a friend maybe she had gone too far this time, and he was tired of having her pit them against his family. Girl, please. He knew his parents weren't perfect, but he didn't like the demands Shanann put on him to not see his family, or not to allow his kids to see their grandparents. He didn't like what Shanann had done to him in making him shut his parents out of their lives. He said he had flat out told him he could not call or see his parents again. In the past, this may have worked, but now Christopher was simmering and getting up the nerve he needed. What? Christopher did cleave to his wife during the times of trouble between Shanann and his parents. After a while, he had missed his family, and he longed for things to be good between them. He didn't see any real reason they couldn't all be family. Cindy and her daughter-in-law did not get along well, but that certainly does not make her a murderer. Not all personalities get along, and that's okay. Like, what are we talking about? Cindy says she did not interfere in their marriage. Christopher said he knew from the beginning that Shanann did not care for his mother and his sister, and they did not care for her. He says he let it go on for too long. He should have confronted it, but never did. He always sided with Shanann because he knew if he didn't, there would have been trouble. On a daily basis, the Watts family deals with people who hate them for the crime their son committed. Thinking their daughter-in-law had just killed their granddaughters, of course they were not happy with her. At that time, all the information they had was that Christopher had told them of how he killed Shanann because he caught her killing the girls. Oh, please. They didn't seem to care. That is what Christopher told his dad and the FBI agents at the time of the confession. What people don't realize, this is the last time they saw their son or talked to him until the day before the sentencing. When they saw him, the only thing he would tell them is he was pleading guilty for a reason. Going into the sentencing, they still had no idea as to what exactly had happened. Ronnie and Cindy did not know what to think. Their heads were spinning. Just as Shanann's parents knew she was not capable of hurting her girls, the Watts family questioned how Christopher could be capable of this since he had never shown any sign of violence. The Watts did not go to the funeral, and this was huge for them. Ronnie made a phone call to one of the family members and was told it might be best if they did not come. They were told the media was everywhere, and if they came down, most definitely they would have been attacked by them. This was not told to him in a malicious way, just in a way to watch out for everyone. The Watts said they did not want to make a scene or make it harder on anyone, so they made the decision to stay away. However, they did not have a service of their own with friends and family. They had their pastor say some words, and they sang Amazing Grace. It was beautiful and very sad at the same time. What did it take not to go to the funeral and graveside of their daughter-in-law and 3 grandchildren? It was heartbreaking for all of their family. They had no way to tell them goodbye. It's unfortunate that the last visit with Shanann and their granddaughters ended in discord. No one can possibly know how hard this would be or how one might feel, but it would have been nice if the 2 families could have put their differences aside and held each other up during this time. Ugh. It was totally heartbreaking for all. There are many things between the Watts and Shanann I have chosen not to write about. Some of the things that have been said about Shanann are cruel and filled with hate. Christopher agreed with me not to say these things about her. She does not deserve it. It is very unfortunate because they are both good families. They both were hurt and had the most unimaginable loss when they could have been a strength for each other. No, both families didn't have an unimaginable loss. One still has their kid. Hopefully true and complete healing will come between them someday. Not. They loved and adored those grandchildren, and there are hundreds of pictures and videos to can prove it. They were very blessed for what time they had with them. Those baby girls are their shared bond, and hopefully someday they will be able to look past their hurt just enough to help each other try to heal and get past this. This lady, I don't know. Chapter 5, All the Money. It is hard when writing a true crime story because you only get one side of the story. These accounts are what I've been told. Please keep in mind, Shanann is not here to defend herself. I have been told Shanann controlled all the money that came into the house. Christopher says he recalls a time when he sold a 4-wheeler and didn't get enough money to pay off the loan. Shanann never trusted him, therefore, and she never allowed him to have anything to do with the money after that. It's unclear to him if that's the real reason she didn't want him to touch the money, or if it's because she didn't want to answer for what she spent. Ugh. The girls were enrolled in a $25,000 a year school. Shanann liked to shop, sometimes spending most of her check without having paid on her obligations. Christopher said they could not afford this. She would sometimes turn around and put a lot of the money that she made back into Thrive. She also had Christopher withdraw $10,000 from his 401k to catch up on house payments that they were behind on. Christopher believes to get back in the next day. He says that gave him a fear of going up against her. So he decided after he would never argue with her again. Just take it. He is quick to say, though, it was not like this all the time. Christopher shared that one time when the sign of trouble was everywhere, neither of them stopped to notice what was happening to them. They allowed their relationship to suffer and never stopped long enough to fix it. There were many happy times, many more happy than sad. He dwells on those happy times now, as he longs just to be with his family one more time. He says he loves Shanann, Bella, and Celeste, and he knows he would have loved Nico too. Ugh. He only has himself to blame. He longs to be able to hold Shanann and the girls. He craves to feel their touch, and he would so love another chance to hold his baby boy. When did he have the first chance? Shanann had told her friends before that she wanted a man who could make decisions and be more assertive. But this was not Christopher. Yet their problems are problems that many families face. Until just before the murders, they weren't so bad that working on them and concentrating on making their lives better wouldn't have worked. Chapter 6. The Mistress. Christopher has not told the FBI, but as soon as Nikki told him she wanted to have a first with him, he started planning on how he could kill the baby so he could give Nikki their first together. Oh my goodness. How very sad that Shanann was excited to be able to give him a son. He was planning to take that baby's life before he had a chance to come into the world. This baby boy was the son he always told Shanann he wanted. This would perfectly complete their little family. Shanann had thought if Christopher could get excited about their baby boy, then he might start feeling differently about their family. At first, Nikki had told Christopher she did not even want children, yet telling him she wanted to give him his first son was her way of keeping him. He was not wanting to get rid of Shanann's baby because he thought it was not his. He wanted to get rid of the baby because it was his, and he did not want it. However, Shanann was the only one fighting for the marriage. All the while he was trying to destroy it. He would not give his marriage another chance, would not even talk to her about their problems, would not be honest with her. He let her be the only one in the marriage that had the desire to save it. Christopher did not try one time to talk to Shanann about their problems until the morning he killed her. He just couldn't confront her. As soon as the girls all left for North Carolina, he had a new sense of freedom. Nikki latched on very quickly, even though he was married with 2 girls. She wanted him to stay with her every night. She had not yet included Christopher in her friend circle, but was ready to right before the murders. In the past, she had been in an abusive relationship, so when it was over, she deleted most of her social media. Her mail went to her father's house, like she was hiding from someone. She took medications, but never told Christopher why. He suspected she was bipolar. She was in Christopher and Shanann's house twice, July 4th and again on the 14th. Christopher was off work on July 4th, and he stayed the night at Nikki's house and slept in late the next morning. When he was up and checked his phone, there were many missed calls from Shanann. He knew she was going to be really mad. He went outside to call her, and she was beyond pissed, absolutely furious. He decided to just go home for the rest of the day. He went back inside to let Nikki know. Now it was Nikki's turn to be angry. Weren't they going to do something later on that day? He told her no. He was just going home for the day. For the first time, she realized that she was not number one in his life. Christopher must be having second thoughts. Had she left him alone for the rest of that day, he may have turned around. Later on, she showed up at Christopher's house with the ruse she wanted to help him build a healthy protein diet plan. She didn't look around the house much that day. She felt she couldn't allow him to be alone. She knew if he was alone in that house with all of the memories and pictures of his family, that he might decide his life was too good to give up. Or maybe there was love deep inside him for his family that could be brought to the surface again. On July 14th, Christopher and Nikki were headed home from Shelby Museum and decided to stop at his house before getting something to eat. There, Nikki played with Dieter, the family dog, who led her upstairs. This time, she could see what things were like in their life and all the pictures of Bella, Celeste, and Shanann. She came downstairs with the most frozen, dazed, confused look on her face. She realized for the first time the life he was living and the family that would be broken to pieces because of their affair. He saw the look of despair, and he put his arms around her, leading her to the couch. As they lay on the couch, she said to him, "You have all this, more than most people. And we are doing this? Why are we doing this? Are you willing to give all this up? Is your relationship with your wife that bad?" He told her that he and Shanann had drifted apart, and they didn't talk anymore. He was not even sure in his own head that he believed that fully. Yet he could see the deficit in their relationship. He then told her that before he started seeing her, he and Shanann had actually decided to have a baby. More signs that he was having second thoughts. He freaked completely out, started yelling Oh, she freaked completely out, started yelling, "What the fuck are you doing with me then?" He saw something in her he had not seen before that made him take notice. Your relationship couldn't be that bad if you and Shanann were trying to conceive. Even though he tried to get her to stay and talk with him, she left the house and went out to her truck and sat there for 30 minutes texting him. Whatever he said to her as he was texting back to her worked. In his words, he talked her off of the cliff. She wanted him to make her feel better and to come after her, but he didn't. As he thought about it, he realized this is one of the things that turned him on about her. She allowed him to calm her down by telling her he did not want another baby with Shanann. What? He withheld the information that Shanann was already pregnant. He told her the plans to have another baby were before he had met Nikki. Ugh. It had been a way to possibly to save their marriage, but it wasn't working. I really don't think Shanann was looking at it that way. I believe she was thinking they decided together to have a third baby, and they were blessed it was going to be a boy. Nikki came back into the house. She told him he was the only man she ever met that tried to fix problems, smooth it over, and talk things through. He thought, ironically, he had never tried to do that with Shanann. He knew she probably wouldn't listen to him, yet he realized he didn't give her a chance. They had never really talked about things. He had always just let her make the decisions. Nikki asked him then to come over to her house like nothing ever happened. They went back to her house and made love. Ugh. She tried for it to be hot, passionate love and did some of the things that would normally turn him on, but this time their lovemaking felt different. He felt the guilt rush back to him, and he really didn't want to be there. When they made love, oh no, Nikki even felt it was different.